insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, and monitoring and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. For more information, email us at info@adstudiescenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website www.adstudiescenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Augmented reality (AR) is a technology that merges computer-generated images with the user's real-world view, creating a composite experience. This interactive experience integrates various sensory modalities, such as things you can see, hear, and even feel, making the experience interactive and immersive. In recent years, the emergence of this transformative technology has seamlessly integrated digital and physical realms. This groundbreaking innovation relies on specialized hardware like smartphones and smart glasses, equipped with cameras and sensors, AR software, and Apple's AR Kit and Google's AR Core, then creates immersive experiences by overlaying virtual content onto the user's real-world environment. AR software such as Apple's AR Kit and Google's AR Core then creates immersive experiences by overlaying virtual content onto the user's real-world environment. AR's applications span diverse industries from gaming to education, healthcare, retail, and manufacturing. In education, AR enhances learning through interactive and dynamic experiences, while in healthcare, it aids surgical planning and medical training. Retail experiences are transformed as AR enables customers to virtually try on products and visualize furniture in their homes. Despite its potential, AR faces challenges such as technical advancements and user privacy concerns. Overcoming these hurdles will unlock even more seamless and immersive AR experiences, making it an integral part of our daily lives. As technology progresses, the horizon for AR broadens, promising a future where our interactions with the world are richer and more interconnected. Augmented reality is not just a trend, it's a revolution shaping the way we live, learn, and work. Goma Fortune, Souk News.
At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission: empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing, and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, and monitoring and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. For more information, email us at info@adstudiescenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website www.adstudiescenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Welcome back to Just Africa, the show where we unpack bold ideas shaping the continent's growth, from culture to business and innovation and to development. Now, in this segment, second segment, we dive into a fascinating conversation at the intersection of digital technology, architecture, and education across Africa. Rapid urbanization is challenging how we design and build our cities, while education systems are racing to equip young people with skills for a digital-first future. So the question now is, how can digital tools help us reimagine African architecture and education to create a more sustainable tomorrow? So our second topic for today is expanding digital technology to advance African architecture and education for a sustainable future. Joining us to unpack this robust topic is Oyewole Anuolua Abiola. He is an architect and founder, Bezalel Design Academy. So glad to have you on Just Africa today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so let's dive in. Africa is the youngest continent in the world. I mean, the population of youth, it's almost close to 60 to 70%. And by 2050, its cities will house more than 1 billion people. From your perspective, how urgent is it that we integrate digital technology into African architecture and education today, not tomorrow?
Technology is revolutionized the design, the experience, the studio, because now the practice has evolved to a more digital-driven practice, more because of the complexity of the structures of the buildings that we have now. So these tools, they allow students and even professionals to visualize the outcome before a brick is being laid. So designs, buildings can now be tested, they can now be refined before the execution, which offers us fewer errors, smarter buildings, and a faster delivery. So technology is coming up to offer us a more efficient design process, a more efficient and optimized construction process, and even post-occupancy.
Okay, so we hear the saying these days that technology can print a house in 24 hours now. And people are like, how? How is this possible? Because we're talking about this, we're talking about the future of Africa in architecture and in education. So how do you want us to believe this? That in 24 hours, a house can be printed?
All right, yeah, we have what we call 3D printing, and this is not for construction solely, but for us to examine the potential outcome of what the development has to offer. So if we relate this to a timely project delivery, we'll be talking about the opportunities that comes with prefabrications, and this is an opportunity that only technology can provide. This prefabrication is done coherently with building information modeling. So you can get certain data, you can get sizes and dimensions of some of these building components that you need. So once you have this information, you can go ahead and interact with industry stakeholders, those at the helm of production affairs. So they go ahead and produce these things, and they make them ready for assembling. So with this system, we are sure that construction delivery can be done more faster than ever before.
Before Lumide takes you on the next question, we know our African home style. It used to be bamboo, mud, and all those styles. How now? My question is it possible to design an African home with a computer, but still keep that our style, still keep our homes warm, still those things that make our African houses unique? Is it still possible to bring them all together?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's very possible. Technology should not erode traditions. Technology should not erode culture. Technology should not erode wisdom. You see, what we used to do before, they are simply wisdom. And now, if we want to do those things even more efficiently, it should be technology plus the wisdom, technology plus the tradition. We shouldn't say there's technology now, so we no longer need a window. The building is not going to function optimally. So we should integrate technology with what we used to do before. It shouldn't be that technology makes us to isolate ourselves or isolate a particular process in the built environment. Things should go on coherently, irrespective of the building material that the professionals may want to use. In fact, these materials offer more than just cost benefits. These materials ensure that the building is responsible to the environment. The construction system is responsible to the environment. Being responsible to the environment, I mean that because someone wants a mansion, it does not impact the environment in such a way that the neighbor or the next person in that environment at a mile away cannot breathe quality air. So we should look beyond these alternative building materials as just something that either reduces costs, but even look at the global picture of their responsiveness to the environment.
Thank you very much. Now, architecture is more than buildings. It shapes how people live, connect, and thrive. So I'd like to take you up on the last question before this one that my colleague asked you. How can digital tools like artificial intelligence, 3D modeling, smart design, how can it transform the way we build African cities?
These tools allows us to now simulate. We can see what's going to be before it is. These tools offer what we can call green design because we now can integrate technology into every bit of the process. Now we can examine what are the pros, what are the cons of this particular design construction technique that we're adopting. And with this, we're sure that the end product, because at the end of the day, whatever it is that we're building will be used. And that's the whole essence of spending time, spending resources. We want to ensure that at the end of the day, it fits the specific function. So this function can be simulated. We can now examine the parameters that will be used in the construction. We can examine it against when it is built. Unlike before you get an effect of what a building would impose on the environment, that building must have been built. But now, technology allows us to see the potential impact of this building on the environment. So we have robust database to simulate. We have this same database that allows the professionals on this project to ensure that they are doing according to what fits that environment. So they have a database on geospatial analysis. They know what the environment is about, what's the air quality in this environment. They also know the characters of the building they want to build in that environment. So if they examine the parameters of the environment and also that of the building, the structure they are proposing for that environment, then they will be able to make guided decisions, informed decisions that will not harm the environment.
Thank you very much. So can technology help Africa? I mean, the future is green energy, 0% carbon emission. So can technology help Africa avoid the mistakes of Western urban sprawl and instead design cities that are greener, more inclusive, and more African in identity?
Yeah, there's something we call green design, which the United Nations says a greener economy. And when we talk about greener economy, we're looking at it as something that provides improved human well-being, social equity, it reduces environmental risks, and a reduction in ecological scarcities. So if all of these things are well done throughout the design and construction process, we should be able to achieve a greener economy. We should be able to achieve a development that is sustainable, that reduces carbon footprint, it manages heat, and ensures that the recurring cost is minimal. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to do something that is not sustainable cost-wise. We want to be sure that the building occupants, they can manage whatever it is that has been implemented. If a water heater has been installed, we want to ensure that the occupant has sufficient resources to maintain that water heater. And even in case of damage, to replace the water heater. And by doing that, we've achieved some certain level of sustainability.
Oh, thank you so much. I love how the future is looking right now. Like, it's beautiful, smarter houses, smarter cities, the greener environment and everything. But in planning this with technology at heart, do you see these plans including the poor? Or it is just a design, it's just a future for the rich. But you're talking about water heaters, you're talking about certain features in the new houses, in the houses built based on technology. Do you really think that the poor will be able to afford these new facilities?
Technology is for everybody. It's not for the rich alone, neither is the poor excluded from access to technology. What technology does for us in the built environment is that it ensures that even the person with the least income can live sustainably. The person can live peacefully in that environment. A technology in the built environment does not determine whether it is for the poor or for the rich. It is a system that must be adopted to ensure that even the poor can live well. Because the poor deserves quality air, just as the rich. Everybody deserves healthy environment. And that's the benefit we must look towards when it comes to technology and architecture, or technology and the built environment generally.
Yeah. One other question that when we're talking about the poor, we're also talking about those in the rural village, in the rural sector. Right now, we're talking about technology, we're talking about internet. The internet is the new classroom right now. Many children, they have access to smartphones in the cities, in the urban areas. How about the children in the village, where they do not have access to internet? Do all these, what is the plan for those in the rural sector? Because you must agree with me that there will always be a village and there will always be cities. What is the plan for the children in the village who do not have access to internet?
Thank you. So if we talk about the plan for people in the village, then we'll have to talk about every one of us. We all have a responsibility to our community. If Nigeria will be better, everybody has a role to play. We're not going to leave the poor and say, oh, because I'm privileged and that's all about it, I don't look at people behind me. All of us has a responsibility. We have to look at it as something sustainable that we have to do in our own little way. If there's a student in my environment that is engaged in a particular assignment, but this student runs out of data and cannot continue this learning process, am I ready to provide financial support or even transfer out of my own data to ensure that this student can complete his exercise? So if we look at something so mini as that, then it would help us to instill the consciousness that every one of us has a responsibility to play. And if we look at it from a bigger perspective, we would have to relate it to the government, relate it to the NGOs, to say, please, there are underserved communities and they shouldn't remain underserved. So again, we all have a responsibility and we must wake up to that responsibility. If our nation will be better, if Africa will be better, every one of us has a role to play.
Thank you very much. So do you believe that digital classrooms and e-learning can reduce inequalities, especially in rural areas?
Oh, fantastic. E-learning is something profound because it increases access to learning. Take, for instance, there's someone in a remote area or in another country who wants to learn from a scholar. Take, for instance, we have a scholar in Nigeria and someone from Kenya wants to enroll for his program. Back in the days, the person would have to travel down to his locality for him or her to learn. But now, e-learning, learning management system has provided opportunity for this person to learn without having to leave the comfort of his home. So e-learning is something we must adopt. And even in our traditional classrooms, e-learning provides opportunity for continued learning. A lecturer cannot cover everything the curriculum has to offer under an hour. But e-learning provides opportunity for the lecturer, for the teacher, the tutor to prepare the courses and upload them into that portal such that after the traditional learning in classrooms, students can go back and log in into their own portal to continue learning. So e-learning is something fantastic that we just have to accept as a norm. It is not just about technology or whether it is accessible to all or otherwise. It's something we have to adopt.
I'm glad you agree. So, but scaling these innovations requires both money and good governance. So, how can government and private investors collaborate to fund and scale digital solutions in architecture and education?
So no matter the costs, we can afford it. I can say that again, that no matter the cost that comes with digital education, that comes with digital technology, it is still affordable. It's something we must see as one key step that will put us on the global map, that will increase our international competitiveness. It comes with international opportunities. So irrespective of the cost, we have to accept it as a norm, and that's where it starts. So if we accept it, we're ready to adopt it, then we'll be able to source for the project. Our government can provide resources for this. We have NGOs that can also support, in fact, capable individuals. So I don't think the issue is more on finances, but that we first have to come to say, yes, we want you. Whatever it is that we want, we would be ready to go for it, get it, and ensure that it is working.
All right, thank you very much. We love the fact that technology is taking over and it's making things much more easier. But there's also this concern when it involves children, especially in education. When I give smartphones to children, like I said earlier, children cannot have access to certain sites. You also agree with me that parents don't really take out time, or teachers, to educate their children about the disadvantages of technology. Now my question is, or this whole thing now leaves us with a question of, is technology teaching our children, or our children are teaching technology? Where do we stand?
Yeah, so I would say both. Because if we look at AI, AI functions better on improved information. And who is feeding AI with this information? It's the users. So that's why I agree that technology is impacting us and we're also impacting technology. But looking at it from the aspect of, okay, how about children? Again, we would have to talk about sustainably living. If I'm building a particular app, I should think sustainably. I shouldn't include certain things that I know is hazardous to a particular demography. So parents also have that responsibility to make out time to educate their wards on what to do and what not to do. And thankfully, some of these devices allow for parental restrictions. So parents need to be sensitized on the importance of restricting certain things on the device they are giving to their children. And with this, I'm sure that we would have a well-informed, responsible children as they grow.
Okay, so I want to ask again. When it comes to technology, there are so many things that really raise concerns. Right now, we now have what we called half-baked graduates, because people no longer pay attention to the hard copies. People no longer actually carry out researches. We just type in a query, and the AI pops up answers for us. Now, how does these still technology affect our educational system in Africa? Do you really think that the graduates we are producing right now, they are standard enough to compete with other graduates from other continents in the world?
All right, so I would like to create a scenario to say that there's no difference between the learning style. It is just how we learn. When we go to class, we have a tutor who stands before the class to lecture. And then when we adopt technology, there's also someone behind whatever information we get that provides the data that we have as result. So the onus lies on the recipient of this information. Either a student is learning through the traditional method or the person is learning digitally. What this person makes out of the information is what truly matters. So as individuals, we need to continue to sensitize people around us that learning goes beyond la cram, la pour. You just read to store in your head and then write to pass exam. It goes beyond that. So again, however we learn, the result of learning is not a factor of the type or which technology we adopt. The result of learning is on the person learning, it's on the student. Yes, we would have to look at it from a broader perspective to examine curriculum, to also look at the competency of the tutor. But aside all of these things, the key factor is the student. Because whatever it is that a student learns in an institution, after graduating, learning does not stop. So continued learning is something that we all have to adopt as a norm. We just have to continue learning and learning and learning and learning and make the best use of whatever it is that we have learned.
All right, thank you very much. Africa, they say, is known for consuming a whole lot. Whatever you bring in, it's a ripe market that, foreign countries, foreign nations bring in so many things, technologies here and there, and we consume a lot. But the broader picture, what policies are urgently needed to ensure that Africa isn't just consuming imported digital tools, but actually building its own technologies?
If we're looking at policies that can help us towards sustainable technology use or investments that we can put together to ensure that we are not at the back, we are not lagging behind when it comes to digital education or digital practice, then we would have to talk about collaboration with industry experts. There are certain stakeholders that are causing the difference in what we experience. Let's look at the Industrial Revolution. These are not acts of God. There are certain individuals behind the scene that are tweaking these things, and we must collaborate with them to increase awareness, to equip tutors in our institutions so that they can also impact the student appropriately at the head. So digital awareness, we must collaborate with industry experts, and we must continue to learn. Our tutors must upskill, they must relearn everybody. Digital technology is a norm, it has come to stay, we cannot refute it. To buttress that would be accreditation requirements. Accreditation is a particular exercise that ensures that standards are being met. Certain things are provided in an institution where a student is learning. But beyond all of these things, there must be money on ground.
All right, thank you so much. So I want to ask now, How do you see architectural education shaping Africa's cities in the next 20 years?
Fantastic. Fantastic. So the digital architectural education is producing already architects who think beyond buildings, because now there's more beyond just designing. You have to think more about the science that makes the building work. So you have to look at the contextuality of your design. Uh, I say that sustainability when it comes to architecture or design is simply design for us, build for us, and build with what we have. And at the end of this thing, we would have architecture that we will all be proud of. Our graduates, architects, they would have something we can refer to as good edifice, not just because of the aesthetics, but because of the impact on the environment.
Thank you. So finally, if Africa embraces digital technology, in education and urban design, what could the continent look like in 20 years?
The question about is architects using digital tools? Yes, architects are using digital tools. Architects are using building information modeling. Architects are using artificial intelligence to get certain parameters. Architects engage tools that could give them geospatial information. What's the temperature in this particular environment? What type of fenestration should I provide? What's the number of the fenestration? As this information is no longer on assumption, but thanks to technology for this thing. So architects are using digital tools. There's CAD, which has transformed us from manual drafting to computer-aided design. There's 3D printing and fabrication and many more.
Okay, I think the next. Okay, thank you very much, Oyewale Anuolua Abiola. Thank you for your powerful insight. Thank you for coming to Just Africa today.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Yes, quite an interesting topics we've had today.
In fact,
cybersecurity, digital learning and architecture. It's quite interesting. I think Africa is moving towards the promised land, if I may use that word.
I'll agree with you. We are actually moving. We are not where we were, and we are not there yet.
Yes. So
I don't just want to assume that, okay, we are there now. No, there's still a whole lot to do, especially the last topic we talked about now on technology, architecture and technology.
Yes.
It's high time we let the younger ones understand that architecture has grown beyond paper and pen. You don't have to, when they say architecture, days ago, I was telling someone that we were just having a conversation on architecture, and the person said, tell him to come and draw me now. I'm like, architecture has gone beyond that. So the use of computer. So I would even encourage parents, maybe during the holidays, instead of looking for another summer class where they will teach what they will teach when school resumes and all that, why don't you look for places where they do this computer teaching on how to use the 3D, how to do, there are so many things that students can actually learn, especially those ones just leaving secondary school that are waiting for results, you understand? So there is a whole lot. So we shouldn't just sit back, fold our hands and say, okay, it is the traditional method. A whole lot is going on right now, and it is to our benefit if we can key into it now. Because the world is not waiting for us.
Yes.
They are moving. So if we don't move at that pace, we will be lacking behind. Then again, whatever the government is doing, whatever individuals are doing, whatever companies are doing, private sector, or whatever it is, please always have the rural people in mind. That child in the village needs electricity. That child in the village needs internet. That child, like one of the questions you asked, was it during the first section? I don't know. But you said, can a child in the village be able to compete with a child in the city when you place them side by side? Mm-hmm. So it's a whole lot. So whatever plan it is, I feel that, yes, it's high time we plan for those people in the village, because when we say cybersecurity, this, we are talking about those of us in the cities. How about them? It's important to think about them.
Vulnerable.
Yes.
All right, so digital technology is not just a tool. It's a bridge between Africa's challenges and its opportunities. If applied wisely, it can redefine our cities, it can transform our schools, it can set a foundation for a sustainable, prosperous future. Special thanks to all our guests for today on Just Africa. Thank you for joining us on Just Africa. Now, until next time, let's keep asking the big questions that shape Africa's tomorrow. I am Olumide Shokoya.
And I am Omevi Idolor. Thank you for joining us.
As the world navigates constant change and competing voices, the call for purposeful leadership rings louder. The Scalable Leadership Summit 2025, hosted on the Leadership Channel Consulting platform, wasn't just another conference. It was a clarion call to leaders, seasoned and emerging, to abandon short-lived titles and build the kind of leadership that endures storms, spans generations, and reshapes nations. In a compelling convergence of Africa's top-level thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and organizational trailblazers, the summit issued a bold call for enduring, values-driven leadership. Under the theme, Lead Beyond Limits, Build What Lasts, the convener, Wale Adekola, emphasized that this event is not for applause. It was engineered for lasting impact.
We're talking about leaders who are going to represent leadership, who are going to become leadership ambassadors. And that is why we are launching Scalable Niger today. So Scalable Niger for us is not just a slogan. It's something that we want to see happening in every community in Nigeria. Because today every participant is going to go home with three powerful frameworks. And for these frameworks, we have the first one is the Scalable Leadership Framework. The second one is ADAPT. ADAPT model is a sustainable change system that it can use to transform any system within the organization, of course, and across institutions in Nigeria, of course, and across Africa. So these are proven and tested frameworks that we have studied, we have applied, for the past 10 years. And now we want to see all these frameworks applied in Nigerian institutions and, of course, organizations.
The summit delivered a rich blend of keynote insights and fire chat dialogues, featuring voices like Adeyemi Olayiwole, Niyi Adesanya, Tara Fela Durotoye, Honorable Adewumi Adeyemi, Professor Abraham Oshinobi, and Dr. Smith Bam, among others. The experience was further deepened by stirring spoken words, performances, and inspirational music, not merely to share leadership principles, but to ignite a deeper commitment to legacy-driven leadership in a world that is constantly evolving. Kicking off the summit was leadership strategist and keynote speaker Odeyemi Olayiwole, who emphasized the power of learning from experience. His message challenged attendees to go beyond information and seek transformation through mentorship, experience sharing, and tested wisdom.
The cheapest way to succeed in anything is to learn from someone who has succeeded in that thing. Not someone that knows about the thing alone, but someone who has been able to acquire the information and translate it to application and have results to show. And so that's why many years, in 1996, when I knew that my assignment was in the leadership space, one of the first questions I asked is, who is doing what I want to do? And who is the best at what I do? Every year I pick 3 case studies. A country, a company, and a corporate leader. Every single year. And I dissect them to find out what is the secret, because success needs clues. The secret of men are in their stories. So one of the cheapest ways to succeed at anything is to find out who has succeeded at what I want to start.
Renowned beauty entrepreneur Tara Fela-Durotoye, in her keynote session and during a fire chat with the convener, shared lessons from her leadership journey in building the House of Tara brand, from humble beginnings to a systemized enterprise. She spoke on navigating growth, people development, and succession planning.
What is it that I do that delivers the same outcome? What is it that makes my customers buy every time? Write it down, because you have now found a framework. Then you amplify and multiply that framework so that every time you meet a House of Tara person, there is something about them that reminds you of the person you met in Lekki. Why? Because we have created a culture. The policies are designed to protect you, not just the company. If you don't remember everything else that I said and you are an employee here, pull the policies and embrace them in your chest. Know them by heart. If anybody says anything, you just have to look at the policies say. And all founders, if you don't have policies, what you are basically saying is that you're allowing your people to do anything.
From academia, Professor Oshinobi of Lagos Business School brought a compelling perspective on national transformation governance, innovation, and faith-based leadership.
The Nigerian paradox: we are rich in resources, yet poor in trust. True of us, bursting with talent, yet starved of opportunity. A land of faith, yet a desert. Governance is the structural foundation that enables accountability, transparency, and the rule of law. But the crisis is this: 83% of Nigerians is strong public institution. True or true? That is the basis of our problem in this country. Trust deficits.
The summit was not all talk. It was also artfully immersive, as Esosia Wilson rendered soul-lifting inspirational songs, creating moments of reflection between sessions. In an interview with Souk News TV, the convener emphasized the summit's depth, that it is a leadership movement committed to shaping a new breed of leaders. Participants shared their reflections, describing the summit as a catalytic experience that confronted, challenged, and compelled.
Leadership is not just a day thing, it's a daily thing. We want them to recognize 3 types of patterns. So we have encouraged them to study pattern. Number 1, pattern recognition. Number 2, pattern usage, how they can use the pattern that they're going to learn today. And number 3 is pattern creation. How can they create new patterns that they can apply in their own organization, something that is unique for them from the patterns they've recognized that they can use and also apply in their organization through wisdom.
Some people just wish to scale, but you need to be able to have a system that enables you to scale. So that's basically what I think the frameworks will do. And then from each of the speakers, so they are all coming from different, some are from the academia, the business world, which I believe that convergence will actually help to give a better knowledge and sensitization about what true scalability in business and in leadership basically is.
The second session talked about the need for leaders to appreciate their team members, and it was quite emotional when we saw 2 or 3 people shed tears of joy when they got messages from their team leaders. So for us as team leaders, we need to be very deliberate. And even the case study we did, Deep Sea, it talks about the need for us to be very deliberate. We need to know our team members. We need to know what's happening with them, and we need to leverage their strengths.
Everything rises and falls on leadership. If the leader gets it right, it trickles down to those at the middle level, at the lower level. So it's important to get it right from the root so that the fruits are good. I do a lot of case studies. So you study what has worked, what has not worked. And through my research, preparing for this summit, I discovered that we're talking about starting, scaling, and sustaining businesses. So let's study systems that have worked for up to 1,000 years and more. And I found out that they are driven around community, which is people. Everything should be about people. Listen to them, love them, then you can lead them more effectively. And when people's hearts are touched, they work better with their hands, with their head, and with their feet.
Because I work with people, I understand how powerful people can be, and the biggest asset any organization has is not infrastructure, it's its people. And if you understand that your people are your assets, you will invest in your people. But if you don't understand it, if you don't share that philosophy, you're going to abuse your people, you're going to misuse your people. So for me, it's something I've been living for 20 years, and so it's just natural.
You need to love the people you want to lead by having what we call the emotional intelligence, social intelligence. Both go hand in hand, and you need them for leadership. And lastly, for leadership is also about listening. For you to influence one, you need to listen to your environment in order to act accordingly.
We have looked at how to scale our leadership potential, and also sustain it. It's not enough to just start, but we will start, we will scale, and then we'll sustain it. It's something that should be a legacy, something that should live beyond us. Right now, we are talking about impact, the impact that the structures and the systems that we are putting in place will have on our society, on our community. So leadership is beyond just us. It's about impact, it's about sustainability, and it's about the value that we are creating for our society.
To a large extent, I try to tell people that you can be anything you want to be, because you've been placed here to lead, you've been placed here to be at the forefront. And for you to be at the forefront, that means you need to understand what leadership means. And that's the message I pass out. I see myself being able to influence the world with my music, and also show people that they have the ability to believe they can be anything they want to be.
My workers are waiting patiently to see me coming, because I have a lot to impact on them about the personal growth, the business growth, and everything as well. Everybody needs this, especially if you're an entrepreneur. You don't need to miss out this kind of program. You need to connect. No matter the money you spend here, it's worth it.
With resounding voices across academia, enterprise, ministry, and the creative arts, the message was unified. Leadership that scales must be intentional, people-focused, and purpose-driven. Grace Komolafe, Sook News TV.
The National Assembly, in collaboration with the African Development Studies Center, ADSC, held a 5-day national capacity building workshop on treaties, agreements, and protocols for federal MDAs, with the theme, Enhancing Institutional Capacity for Effective Treaty Negotiation, Implementation, and Oversight in Nigeria. Honorable Barrister Rabiu Yusuf, Chairman of the House Committee on Treaties, Protocols, and Agreements in the 10th Assembly, highlighted the importance of strengthening the skills of key government officials in treaty processes.
At this particular moment of our country, we need a institution whereby all the stakeholders involved in external engagement with other countries, particularly state and the federal governments, and mostly MDAs of the at national level, to ensure that they are aware, they know what it takes, they know how it will be, and they know what it takes to ensure the institutionalized democracy and the legal approach as far as ratification, engagement, domestication of treaties. That is why the 10th National Assembly, under the able leadership of the Right Honorable Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, mandated our committee, pursuant to Section 12, Sub 2 of the Constitution, that we should reach out to all necessary stakeholders who are personally stakeholders on this engagement to ensure they know how it takes and they know how to execute it. Basically, that is the reason we are conducting this exercise.
Actually, I think there is no point for me to deliver my remark at this time, because I'm very much aware that my remarks have been delivered instead of distinction. So in either words, I will just say I really sincerely appreciate your presence in this program, and I believe it will go far in helping the system, stimulating the system, and work for the Nigerian progress. So So I wish you a fruitful discussion and a successful outcome. Thank you very much.
The major challenge, everybody is going silo in the sense that we are not trying to bring ourselves into the same table to ensure that before you find any entity, be it state, local governments, or federal entity, as far as engagement is concerned with other outside world, you need to know there are provisions of the Constitution which you need to comply. Failure to comply with that provision of the Constitution, whatever you do, it will go to a nullity, invalid, and is inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution. And to the extent of that inconsistency, it is null and void, and of no effect whatsoever. So we're trying to avoid this scenario whereby at national level or at international fora, Nigeria will be embarrassed because the stakeholders, the principal actors, they didn't even know what they are doing. So that is why we decided at this particular moment, it is ripe and necessary to ensure that we engage with unnecessary stakeholders. That is the basic reasons for engaging in these activities. Actually, I recommend their effort to any other entity because if you can see, most of them, they are legal luminaries. They know their audience, they know what they are doing. So I really appreciate, they did a very wonderful job. And I sincerely appreciate. That's the main reason that I say I need to be here in Lagos, at least to supervise the happening in Lagos, and I'm impressed. Engagement with outside world it is two ways. It is going to be either bilateral or multilateral. So with this kind of workshop or with this kind of discourse, we believe the principal actors will now know what it takes to enter a treaty. And if they comply with what they are taught in this session, if they advise their principal when they go back to their respective MDA on the right way to go, I believe most of the treaties will be legally binding in Nigeria, provided they follow the procedure laid down by the Constitution. The future is bright. And the future, we will ensure in the future that all the treaties, all the agreements, all the international protocols have been observed to the latter, have been protected and enforced as it is enshrined in the Constitution. And with this kind of workshop, we believe we will create a series of events whereby we will engage other parties, other necessary stakeholders. We just set the ball rolling and we will be there, inshallah.
Also sharing insights on the workshop, the clerk of the House Committee on Treaties, Protocols and Agreements discussed the value of the training in improving the understanding and application of international agreements across MDAs. He noted that the engagement served as an eye-opener, equipping participants with tools for more effective negotiation and oversight.
I'm a Nigerian, I'm a citizen of Nigeria, and I want Nigeria to benefit from its interaction with the international community, and it starts from things like this. For us to be able to interact well, we need to know what it entails to engage in the international community. When we are talking about treaties, what does it entail to enter into treaties? How do we do that? How do we negotiate? How do we implement? How do we oversight as a parliament? So it is my duty as a clerk of the committee to advise the chairman and the committee members on how to go on all these issues, and also very instrumental to the organization of this workshop today. Our partners, the facilitators, are very, very excellent. We appreciate them, and it's also a collaborative effort between us and them. And so far, so good. What we have achieved so far has been fantastic. The participants are very, very impressed. I myself am impressed, and I also there are some things I'm taking home. For instance, now. Nigerians used to think before that our negotiators who negotiate treaties will just go abroad, go on tea party, shopping, but it's not more the case. By what I'm seeing here now, I can see experts, technocrats who know their honors, who take the bull by the horn and do what it's supposed to do. That one has been established. Even our facilitators can attest to that as well. Another thing is that the quality of ideas being shown and being given us here is very, very apt to our situation presently, so that we can apply in our situation in Nigeria. And going forward, if this lesson continues, it's going to impact a lot, because in this, Many of the MDs are here. Even state governments, like Kogi State Government is here. The SSG is here. The Attorney General of Plateau State was also here. And also some top directors in the federal MDA, they are here. So it's a high-class, high-level engagement workshop. We are in a political environment, I must tell you that. But we, technocrats, are supposed to be the advisors and movers of policies. So they don't need to bend. They need to stick to the rule. And also to advise our government, our leaders, that as well as they are making policies, they should also consider the benefits, the interests of the country, not just politics. They should not play politics with it. They should consider the interests of the country first, and also the people. It's an appeal that everybody that has a responsibility to do, either in the public service, or in private sector, in government, do your responsibility as much as you can, in a good faith, in a sincerity. Don't put your personal interests above national interests.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is my pleasure to be here to make a closing remarks for and on behalf of His Excellency, the Right Honorable Speaker, 10th National Assembly, Right Honorable Tajidin Abbas. He has mandated me to deliver this goodwill closing remarks. We appreciate your time, your dedication, and your efforts in trying to attend this program and attentively pay attention to the discourse and further issue being deliberated here. And it is believed that this message you have learned here, or what you have learned here, will be passed towards your chief executive officers, and at the same time you will guide them achieving the necessary mandates in deciding issues of treaties, population of treaties, and what have you. So at this juncture, on behalf of the Right Honorable Speaker, we wish you a safe return to your various destination, and we believe you will pass the message to all other necessary stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Muhammad Yunus was born on the 28th of June 1940 in the village of Batwa, Chittagong, a British Indian colony which is currently known as Bangladesh. He attended Lama Bazar Primary and Secondary School in his village and passed the matriculation examination into Chittagong Collegiate School, where he ranked 16th out of 39,000 students. After his graduation in 1961, Yunus joined the Bureau of Economics as a research assistant and was later appointed lecturer of economics at the Chittagong College. During that time, he also set up a profitable packaging factory on the side. In 1965, he received a Fulbright scholarship to study in the United States, where he obtained his PhD in economics from the Vanderbilt University Graduate Program in Economic Development. Between 1969 and 1972, after his keen education excellence of apex heights and proportions in the United States, he returned home and was appointed professor of economics at the University of Chittagong. He was eventually appointed onto the board of directors to the United Nations Foundation, where he served for 33 years. When Bangladesh suffered a famine in 1974, Yunus felt he had to do something for the very poor. In his country, he founded the Grameen Bank. His motivation was to create economic and social development for the very poor, giving long-term loans to those who wanted to start small enterprises to pay back when they can. The aim to help was to get many of them out of poverty. For this, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2006. Muhammad Yunus is a recipient of numerous international awards for his ideas and endeavors, including the Humanitarian Award in 1993, World Food Prize in 1994, Independence Day Award in 1987, Bangladesh's highest award, the King Hussein Humanitarian Leadership Award in 2000. He was also awarded the Volvo Environment Prize in 2003, Nikkei Asia Prize for Regional Growth in 2004, Franklin D. Roosevelt Freedom Award in 2006, as well as the Seoul Peace Prize in the same year. All humans are born entrepreneurs, he would always fondly say. His heart shone through his everyday life.
To start with, let me give some introduction to myself. As you said, I was a former commissioner of finance. I was a commissioner of finance during the Ganduja's administration from June 2015 to October 2018. I was there for 28 months, okay, as a commissioner of finance. And I had been with Bayero University, Kano, before I was appointed commissioner of finance. Still, I'm a professor of accounting in the university, but I double as a commissioner of taxation because at the Prince Abubakar Audu University, Ayumba, Kogi State, there was a chair that had been vested there by the Federal Revenue Service in 2011. And they invited applicant for that chair, and I was the successful person, successful applicant. So I still occupy that chair, even though the chair is not functioning. But I got the privilege of serving as the elected or selected professor of taxation in that university. So I am in the area of taxation. I've done a lot of researches in that. And then I serve as the Federal Commissioner of the Tax Appeal Tribunal. So it was on 15th November that our tenure came to an end, from 2018 to 2024 November. So you can see that I have been involved at various levels on the issue of fiscal policy, tax revenue generation, tax revenue utilization. So this reform that we are talking about was brought about by the president with a view to maybe perfecting the tax system in the country. So he formed a committee to advise him as to how to go about coming up with very good national fiscal policy, not just tax policy, and then how to reform the taxes in the country to make them better so that Nigeria can compete with other economies that are advanced in the area of utilization of taxation as a means of growing up the economy and achieving sustainable development. So this I know, the process and all that have gone into this project of reform. So bills were developed out of the report of that committee appointed by the president under the chairmanship of Mr. Tayo Oyedele. And for the first time in the history of forming a committee in Nigeria, We had a committee that the president has given the power of implementation. So it's not just about recommending something to him. It is about coming up with a report which will be convincing to him, and if he's convinced, he will ask then to be involved in the implementation of the recommendation of the report. So I think that is why the committee just presented the proposed bill to him without taking this bill to the public domain. Because of the trust that he has on the committee, he just sent the bill to the National Assembly for consideration, for passage into law. And in the bill, they even gave deadline as to when the bill to be passed into law. They expected that the National Assembly would deliberate on this committee, on this bill, to the extent that the bill will be passed into law before 1st January 2025, so that by 1st January 2025, the content or the provision in these bills will begin to be implemented by the government. 4 bills were developed and proposed. And then, unlike the expectation, the comment you made that people are more concerned about the administrative, tax administrative bill. What the bill that is generating the highest controversy is the Nigerian tax bill. That is the bill that has made provision for repealing about 11 taxes that are currently existing, including the VAT itself, including petroleum profit tax, including personal income tax, including companies' income tax, and other taxes like capital gain tax, casino tax, etc., etc. And then about 14 laws that are related to taxation, including laws that are designed to exercise control over consumption, over production. They made substantial amendment on them, and then take the amended aspect, amended part of those laws into the Nigerian tax bill, which means that the laws have suffered from, or they have enjoyed consequential amendment. So this bill, which is expected to become an act by 1st January, is now becoming an amalgamation of most of the taxes that Nigeria is using now. Most of the taxes, those that have been repealed, part of them, part of the provision in them have been injected into the Nigerian tax bill. Those that have been considered for consequential amendment, they are also captured in the Nigerian tax bill. And then they made a lot of paragraphing, creating part, creating section, etc., etc., to the extent that the content of that bill is about 220 pages. So you have to develop the stamina. You have to be used to reading before you read everything from the beginning to the end. And if you don't do that, you may miss a lot of things. And you may be talking ignorantly about the content of the bill. And unfortunately, that is what is happening in the public domain. You hear people talking ignorantly about the content of the bill. They just listen to news, radio, television. When they hear the comment of somebody, then they will amplify that comment ignorantly, without reading the bill and understanding the content of the bill. So that is the one that is enjoying the greatest controversy. Of course, others too are enjoying some controversy. The Nigerian tax administration bill, because it is in that bill that the new sharing formula for VAT was stated. VAT have been extensively explained or described in the Nigerian tax bill. But how to share the proceeds of VAT have not been captured there. That provision could only be seen when you go to Nigerian tax administration bill, which is the bill that has been designed to show how the tax authorities in the country at the federal level, state level, and local government should be relating with one another so as to avoid conflict, so as to avoid a situation whereby all of them may go to a taxpayer with different dimension of claim. The bill was designed to achieve this main objective, to resolve the conflict that have been happening between tax authorities or even revenue generating agencies. Because when you talk about the revenue, we shouldn't be talking just about the tax revenue. You have revenue that custom is collecting. That bill, second bill, is saying that custom should no longer be involved in collecting revenue. It is the Nigerian revenue service that should be collected. Custom, let them take care of their responsibility of checking item coming in, item going out, which is another area of clash. These custom people, they are used to collecting money. Okay, and they are used to, many of them, a lot of allegations are there as to how they are collecting this money, how they are not remitting the correct amount. So now, collection of custom duty will no longer be the responsibility of custom official, custom service. It's the Nigerian Revenue Service that should be collecting. The same thing with all other agencies of government that are considered as revenue centers. So that bill has made adequate provision to show that they know the moment this bill is passed into law, they don't have any power to collect revenue. It's the Nigerian Revenue Service that should collect. Let them deal with their own responsibilities of stabilizing the economy, ensuring control over consumption, over production, over whatever. But then collection of revenue is not their own. And then between the State Internal Revenue Service and the Nigerian Revenue Service, there should be harmony. If there are revenues sources that are difficult for the State Revenue Service to utilize in generating revenue, they can bring in, they can collaborate, or they can reach agreement with the Nigerian Revenue Service to do the collection and then share the amount collected as per the agreement, or take cost of collection as per the agreement and then give the State Internal Revenue Service or even local government revenue committee what they deserve. So the expectation of the Nigerian Revenue Nigerian Tax Administration Bill is to bring about harmony and understanding. So how that could be brought about is a question to be answered. Because of the nature of Nigerian, the nature of official, and the way the people put their eyes on money. They want to be the one collecting money or keeping money or doing something with money. And now you are saying that all those that are used to that, they have to, they will be suspended from doing that, or they will be barred from doing that. It is only that agency, the Nigerian Revenue Service, that will be doing it. So there are some issues there that are calling for a question, okay, understanding among the agencies involved or the tier of government involved, and then of course patriotism to ensure that whatever we do as revenue collectors, as treasury managers, as revenue utilizers for the execution of various projects, we demonstrate ethics, we demonstrate honesty and integrity. The revenue agency itself, before now, the revenue agency is behaving as if it is for the federal government. And this bill that has been sent to the National Assembly is encouraging the Nigerian Revenue Service, which will now replace the Federal Revenue Service and the law that established it. It's encouraging it to consider itself as a federation agency, not federal government agency. It is to be serving the interests of the federation. And so the concern of the state should be addressed by that agency. The concern of local government should also be addressed. It should be an agency that should be mentoring local government revenue agencies or tax authorities and state government revenue authorities or tax authority, so that they carry themselves together as a team then ensuring that we have very good tax system in the country, that we have adequate revenue generation on taxation, which should be put to use for executing various projects that will bring about sustainable development in the country. So when you look at all the provision made in the Nigeria Revenue Service Bill, they are talking about the need for harmonious working relationship. They're talking about the federal Nigeria Revenue Service to serve as the model to state revenue service and local government revenue committee, so that they have very good understanding in implementing the provision in the Nigerian tax bill and the Nigerian tax administration bill. So all the provisions are like that. And then provision have been made adequately as to the position of the executive chairman of the State Internal Revenue Service, the need for governing board, which should have that chairman as the chairman, the need to have a technical committee at the state level, and who are to be members of that committee, the whole and representation to be drawn from various MDAs and other agencies of government and federal government into the committee, and many other issues. And even at the local government level, there is a need for revenue, local government revenue committee, which should be chaired by the councillor in charge of revenue or finance at the local government level, and who the members are and their function. So when you look at all the provision there shouldn't be any controversy. Even if there will be controversy, it should be less, and it should be something that could be resolved. For example, personally, I will not support a situation whereby the chairman of the State Internal Revenue Service should also be the chairman of the board. This is against corporate governance system. And then the same person will be the chairman of the technical committee. The same person will be the chairman of the revenue joint committee, where all the representatives for local government will be members and other agencies. So it will be as if the chairman of the Internal Revenue Service at the state level will become the alpha and omega on all revenue issues in the state. And that person may even be seen himself to be more powerful than Commissioner of Finance. When I was Commissioner of Finance, I was serving as the supervisory person on all the activity in the Internal Revenue Service. The chairman of Internal Revenue Service should be reporting to me, should be taking orders to me. He shouldn't be going directly to the governor. But the provision is showing that the chairman of Internal Revenue Service is equal to the commissioner. And in fact, they were even saying that governor is just to nominate him and has to go to the House of Assembly for clearance. Just as commissioner will go to House of Assembly for clearance. And there is no provision to show that this person should be answerable to the Commissioner of Finance. So something like this, I think many people may not see it, but with my own experience as a Commissioner of Finance, who have been intimately related to the Minister of Finance that time, I know the problem many states were facing as they empower the chairman of the Internal Revenue Service, they empower too much the Accountant General against the Commissioner of Finance, who should be the supervisor to all these agencies of government. So issues like this are there, and appropriate action need to be taken by the National Assembly in correcting the lapses in the bill. Then the last one, which is about institutionalizing a revenue board. Okay, a revenue board. Before we have joint revenue board. Before we have joint tax board. So now that joint tax board is an appendix of the personal income tax. It's just under personal income tax. So now, the drafters of the bill, they will want joint revenue board to be on its own. I have a law supporting it, so that At the federal level, where we have the chairman of the Federal Revenue Service, he will now serve as the chairman of the Joint Revenue Board. Then all the chairmen of the Internal Revenue Service at the state level will be members. Ministry of Finance will have a representative. Ministry of Budget and Planning will have a representative. And you have some other agencies of federal government that may send representative into that board. So that board will be taking decision on monthly basis on where improvement should be made, how to solve problems between one tier of government and another, and many other things, which will be very, very beneficial to the president or the Federal Executive Council, and then beneficial to governors and the various state executive council on fiscal policy and on utilization of taxation to generate revenue and on utilization of the revenue being generated by these agencies. Because many people are having the feeling that the agency, they collect this money and they spend the money. But in real sense, they only collect. But they remit to the government, into the treasury of government. So while they collect, they have the responsibility of collection, they don't have the power to spend a kobo from the amount generated. It is the government that takes care of that. So the Joint Revenue Board has been given a lot of responsibilities in that bill. So when it becomes act, become a law of itself, so the Joint Revenue Board will now be more powerful than what we know before as Joint Tax Board. So this is just the summary of the bill that have been sent to the National Assembly for passage into law. Yeah, my sense is that we need reform in our tax system. As a student of taxation, I have the belief that no economy can make any progress if it doesn't have a good tax system. Most of the economies of the world, or I can say all of them, all the developed economies of the world, they are tax-based economies. And most of the natural resource-based economies, they are among the backward economies in the world. Look at it. All the members of OPEC, none of them is part of the G20. They have the revenue, they have the oil, they are producing it in great quantity, but they are still being considered as developing economies. Well, when you look at UK, Germany, France, US, other countries like that, they don't claim to be having enough revenue, enough oil to refine for their use and then to export the excess for sale. They don't claim for that, and that's why they don't belong to the OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. They base their economy on taxation, but then they have very good tax system, which is just attracting minimal complaint. And the moment they hear some complaint from either the taxpayers or the tax administrators, they take appropriate action immediately, so that at the end, nobody will complain. And because of the reliance on taxation, the citizen of their countries, both natural and artificial person, companies and individuals, the citizen of the country, as they pay tax, they have the right to demand accountability. They have the right to demand prudence. They have the right to demand transparency. And for that, those impositions of austerity, they are always in fear that whatever, if they steal a kobo, people will shout, this is our money. We contributed this money for execution of progress that will amount to a project that will amount to sustainable development, not for the money to be stolen. So this person that is stealing money, appropriate legal action should be taken against him. Sometimes you hear some leaders being hung. Sometimes you hear some leaders being shot. The firing squad, because of the misuse of public money. So members of the public that are contributing this money in the form of taxation, they complain. And then they insist on appropriate action to be taken. So before you come out and claim that you want people to vote for you to go to the parliament or to be the governor or the president or whatever, you will have it in your mind that when you go there, you touch public money, that may be the end of your life. Because that the contributors of that money will be, their eyes and attention will be on the money. And the moment you misuse it, they will take appropriate action against you. Your image will be tarnished. You may even lose your life. So those economies that are considered as developed, they rely substantially or totally on taxation for their development. And then those economies that are relying on natural resources, oil, cocoa, solid mineral, whatever, as they use the money from this to execute project, the members of the citizens of that country, both natural and artificial, they don't care if they see them stealing the money and abusing the money, because it's not their money. It's not their own contribution to the economy. Number one, the prohibition on VAT, what you said earlier has attracted a lot of attention from leaders in the northern part of the country. VAT could be addressed in two ways. Okay, the first way affect everybody, and then the second way is what the leaders in the north are complaining about. The first way is on the increase in the VAT rate. Increase in the VAT rate. We have never had a situation whereby progressive increase will be brought to VAT rate in any country in the world. From my region, I have never experienced it. But this is being brought about in Nigeria through these laws. They said VAT rate now, which is 7.5%, as per the Content of Finance Act 2020, will be increased to 10% from January 2025. Just about a month away. If the bills are passing to law, VAT will be increased to 10% of all VATable goods and services. And then just 1 year after, 2026, it will be increased to 12.5%. Then you have a small raise for 3 years. By 2030, the rate will be increased to 15%. So you can see the progression in the increase in VAT. And the moment you increase VAT rate, inflation will come up very powerfully, especially as you are increasing from 20 to 2025, 2026, you are increasing 2.5%. So the goods and services throughout the country, you see their prices going up. And there is no separate market for VATable goods and services and non-VATable goods and services, no separate market. Don't just feel that when you increase VAT rate, the increase in price will be on VATable goods only. All other goods and services, their prices will go up. And how do you survive that? Nigerians now are complaining about fuel subsidy removal, electricity subsidy removal, and many people have become unemployed. Many people have become disabled. Nobody, no any earner of salary can claim to be saving anything for investment. People are borrowing money to top up to the income that they have for survival. And those that have no work, they are complaining. We just finished induction for ICANN. About 3 inductees met me that if I have any chance for them to get employment, you are qualified as a chartered accountant and you're looking for a job. So what about the secondary school leavers, diploma holders, and other people that have not even attended school? So unemployment is on the high side. And increase in inflation is a killer to businesses. Because when you don't have people buying, you have to stop production. You have to stop providing services. And when you stop production, you sack your employees. And then you have more people go into the employment market and labor market. So increase in the VAT rate is a very big killer to an economy. And this is a problem that affects all the states in Nigeria. And our president himself in 2020, I could remember, when they are trying to increase VAT rate from 5% to 7.5%, he came up and warned the government that this increase in VAT rate will be harmful to the economy because of the inflation that it will ignite. That was during his, I think, 68 or 69 birthday lecture. When he was to comment, he talked harshly against the increase in VAT rate. And now the same government is accepting the bill to go to the National Assembly for increase in VAT rate on a continuous basis. So I see this as a very big mistake. The timing is very wrong. And then the policy, the idea of progressively increasing VAT rate, especially as Nigerians are complaining about subsidy removal, electricity subsidy removal. So this is one thing that needs to be looked into. And as we are interested in generating more revenue through taxes, particularly consumption tax, we have to be very careful about the consequences of the increase. And this is for the whole country. So that is one part. The second part is about the sharing of the amount that will be generated. Yes, right now, when VAT is generated internally, and of course the one for custom, they put it together and share it using vertical formula and horizontal formula. Vertical formula between federal government, state government, and local government. So federal government takes 15%, state government 50%, local government 35%. That's how they share it vertically. And then for local government and state, since they are not at the same level in terms of population, in terms of level of economic development, in terms of weight for industrial development, so they have to use the separate formula. And they agreed that 50% of whatever belongs to state government should be shared equally. 30% should be shared on the basis of population. And then 20% should be shared on the basis of derivation. And that derivation, in the simple language, is about the contribution of every state to the VAT that has been generated. And at the local government level, they are to consider the contribution of each local government to the VAT that has been generated. Okay? So at the state level, when you say contribution of every state on the VAT that has been generated, consumption is much more in some states than in some other states. But then the formula, the derivation, the term derivation, this date, that is being applied now, is giving priority to states where the head offices of companies providing services and goods are located. You do consumption in Adamawa on services, maybe recharge card, and other communication or telecommunication services, or bank services, or insurance services, or whatever. So since you are just dealing with the branches there, the head office of the bank producing these services is in Lagos or in Rivers or wherever. So it will be deemed as if you do the consumption there. And so the credit will go to Lagos or Rivers or Ogun or wherever, where the headquarters of it is located, not where you do the consumption. So at the end of the day, you see that states like Lagos, its own contribution may be 50% or 60% or more every month. At the state like Rivers, its contribution may be about 15% or 20%. Abuja may be about 10% or 50%. And then the heavy consumers, the northern state, like Kano, which is a commercial center, its own contribution may be 1% or 2%, because it doesn't have the head offices of the companies providing these goods and services that are being consumed there. So at the end of the day, you see that 20%, if it is 6 billion, for example, if it is 6 billion, for example, so 60% of that 6 billion will be about 3.6 billion that may go to Lagos. And then 10% of that, 60%, maybe about 600 million. It may go to this. And then you, that are the consumers, you may get 1% of that. So you can see that particular 20% is the crux of the matter. That is the basis of the controversy. So now that this bill has been submitted to the National Assembly, then these people have saw that this derivation has been increased to 60%. 60% instead of 20%. Not previously. Right now, 20%.
Not right now, 20%.
And it has been jacked up.
It has been jacked up.
And the depreciation has been jacked up. And then in the law, derivation has not been defined. But then people have to go by what is happening now. As they go against it. Since now the derivation is about contribution of state that are producing these goods and services being consumed. So they have the right to just say that, oh, so now instead of 20%, it will now be 60%. And then you hear the government functionaries, including members of the committee, saying that no, that's not what they mean. They mean area of consumption. This 60% graduation is about consumption area, not location of the headquarters of company that produce the good or services. You should have defined that in the law. When you say the issue of derivation has been increased to 60%, but what we mean by derivation is this and that. So that controversy will have been avoided. Or you go under the interpretation section. And so as you are interpreting this, and then you say derivation. By derivation, we mean this, and that. That has not been done in both the Nigerian Tax Act and the Nigerian Tax Administration Act. So you can sympathize with the people complaining. And then if it goes like that, if they don't correct it at the National Assembly before passing into law, the moment it is passed into law, they will go back to this issue. The suspicion that they will just go back to a pleasing state where the headquarters of the companies are located, because there is no definition that says that it is about consumption. So everything needs to be documented. Yeah, in a society that is well informed, you should always talk on the basis of evidence. And evidence in accounting, we said you prioritize when you are to prioritize between two evidence, verbal and written. Written is more important than verbal evidence. Okay, and that is why in court, even if you say you give verbal evidence, they want to write it down and read it for you. Then you sign or you put your thumbprint that yes, this is your comment. Because written evidence will continue to remain. Verbal evidence could be denied in a later date. So these are two issues, all based on that. And then you can appreciate why people are talking too much on this matter, to the extent that they don't even care to notice other lapses that in the act. But they, as student of taxation, I have to read and try to pinpoint lapses that need to be corrected so that we have a perfect reform on taxation or on revenue generation in our dear country. So you see, I saw provision on development levy. That there will be development levy. And that development levy will be 4% of accessible profit of companies whose turnover is more than 50 million per annum. So their accessible profit, 4% will be charged as development levy from 2025 to 2026. From 2027 to 2029, development levy will be reduced to 3%. From 2030 and up thereafter, development levy will go down to 2%. So that development levy would be the reason for wiping out other development levies that is used by some government agencies that are providing vital services for this country. You have TED Fund, Tertiary Education Trust Fund. Now they are relying on 3% of accessible profit of companies for all the projects that they are executing across the country. TED Fund, as I hope you know it very well. So it's the one that is most of the infrastructure development in federal university, federal polytechnic, federal college education have been executed by TED Fund. They sponsor lecturers of various institutions to go for further study, to attend conferences. And they have what they call National Research Fund. They take care of all the researches that are being conducted by all these tertiary education institutions using that money. So TED Fund will now get some share from this new development levy. And then you have NIDA, Nigerian Information Technology Development Agency, which is given the mandate of making Nigeria to become an ICT economy. And that agency is relying on 1%. 1% of the profit before tax of GSM companies, banks, insurance companies, etc. These are companies that are pushing for ICT technology development. So the agency is the one to be monitoring the activities, and they want to be funding ICT development in various institutions and taking many other measures which should take Nigeria to ICT economic level. You have NASENI, Nigerian Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure. So that is an agency that has been given the mandate to make Nigeria become science and technology economy, to promote local manufacture of cars, local manufacture of motorcycle, and many other things that we show that, yeah, we have grown up as an economy that can compete with all these developed economies. So that agency is also relying on a particular share, I cannot remember, from what internal, I think, Federal Revenue Service is collecting. And now the government has introduced NEL Fund. So NEL Fund is collecting 1% of the total taxes, levies, etc. that are passing through the Federal Revenue Service. So these are 4 agencies of government that are relying on levies, charges, etc. for them to take care of the mandate given to them. So this development levy is designed to ensure that 3 of them are phased out systematically. Only NEL Fund, which is for giving loan to students, will survive. By 2030, that 2% that we are talking about, from 4% to 3% to 2%, the whole of that 2% will be for the NEL Fund. While all these have been put aside, it's up to the government to decide whether to disband them or to put them into the mainstream budgeting system. So in 2025 to 2026, TED Fund will get 50% of that 4%. And NEL Fund will get 25%. NIDA will get 20%, NASEMI will get 2%. So by the end of 2026, NASENI, NIDA will no longer get anything from that development levy. So they will be on their own. It's up to the government to decide whether to cut them out or to continue to fund them through the budgeting system. And then by the end of 2029, TED Fund will not be getting anything. But from that 27 to 29, they said TED Fund will be getting 66 and 2/3%. And NELDA will get 33 and 1/3%. That is what will happen for 2028 and 2029. By the end of 2029, forget about TED Fund. It is only NEL Fund that will be getting that 2% development levy that will be charged. So you can see that by 2029, all these 3 agencies that have clear mandate for moving the Nigerian economy forward, they may either be phased out or they may be taken back into the mainstream federal government budget and agencies that are used to being independent are going to working on target, how can they survive under the mainstream government budget? So the other implication is that as you have only NELFON, even before transferring everything to NELFON is there to give loan to students. All this money that will be coming to you just for giving loan to students. So this shows that a Nigerian student will mainly become debtors. And when they become debtors, will they have the mouth to complain about the government being a debtor nation? Nigeria as a whole becoming a debtor nation. Every day loan is increasing. So students too will now become debtors. Secondly, the federal institution, all these federal universities, they are not charging tuition fee up to now. They only charge registration fee. University of Lagos, University of Ibadan, Bayero University, Kano, ABU, all these federal universities, and many of the state universities, they don't charge tuition fee, just to encourage children of the poor to attend university or polytechnic or colleges of education. So as telephone is put in place, nobody can claim that he or she cannot pay tuition fee. And then no university or polytechnic should be going to government asking for money. In fact, government may even give them target of the amount that they should be remitting to the government. Because you are charging tuition fee, you are charging registration fee, you are having enough money to take care of yourself. And then we want you to remit something to us because we own the federal university college education polytechnic. So at the end of the day, you see that students will become debtors, students and their parents who insist on making sure that their children attend universities or polytechnic or college of education. And then the universities will no longer be complaining about insufficiency of funds because private universities are not complaining of it. They have their founders who are funding them and they are charging fee. Some are even charging 2.something million per semester in Nigeria here. Some are charging 2 million, some are charging 1.5 million per semester, and some per session. And so they have a lot of money to execute various projects, to pay high salary to their staff. And then the private universities, they are complaining that no money. When you go, they say no money. Even for execution of project, they either telephone to do it for you, or you go cap in hand as for support from individual and organization to execute project for you. But now that you are allowed to charge fees, and the student, if they don't have money to pay, or their parents don't have money to pay, to go to NELFON to collect loan for the payment of the tuition fee and the registration fee, and even for living costs. And they made it very clear that when you borrow such kind of money, you will start making repayment 2 years after graduation, and even 2 years after graduation until you get a job to do. And then from the job that you are doing, you'll be paying 10% annually up to when you finish paying the loan. How will that be feasible in Nigeria? How would that be feasible? So this provision too is a matter of concern. Yes, for people that will look about what will happen in the future. Look at the implication of the policies contained in that bill. Okay? So I'm of the opinion that to correct these lapses, they should just stop at the first formula. When you collect 4%, you increase the rate to 3%, as again to 4%, as again 3% for third fund, in order to accommodate other agencies, and you stop charging the other rate. And then, so the first year they said 50% will go to third fund, which is like reducing what third fund is getting from 3% to 2%. I hope you understand. When I say 50% of 4, that is 2. Before third fund is getting 3% of the accessible profit. So we can manage with the decrease from 3% to 2%. And then NELFON, which is the baby of the government, will give you 20%. Okay? Then NISDA, which is having very clear mandate of making the Nigerian economy an ICT economy, 20%. Then NASENI, 5%, saying we don't care much about the technological development that may come to manufacturing cars, motorcycle, etc. We give them 5%, and then allow them to look for means of further funding themselves. So you stop at that, but not to scrap any of these agencies. So that's my own advice. Okay, so that is another important area that need to be addressed in this bill before they are passed into law. In taxation, as I said, we encourage payment of what you can afford. A situation whereby, this is my own personal opinion, yes, and people may feel that I am in support of taxing the poor. No, I'm not talking about the poor. Anybody that doesn't have income, that doesn't have profit, that doesn't have gain, it should not be considered for taxation. But if you are making some gain, you are making some income, no matter how small, and you are paying something, no matter how small, out of what you are gaining, that will make you to have greater moral right to challenge government. But if you are put outside the tax net, you are not contributing anything, you don't have much moral right to come and challenge the government for inefficiency, for poor accountability, for poor transparency. When I was Commissioner of Finance, I had called to be organizing some town hall meeting with small, medium, micro, small, and medium enterprises across the market that we had in Kano. I will invite their leaders and inform and address them. You see, we are introducing presumptive tax. We are doing that with a view to ensuring that you own the government. You own the government. This government belongs to every one of us. But then those that are contributing money into running the affairs of the government, into executing various projects for the state, they have greater stake than those that are not contributing anything. And no matter how small your contribution is, you have the right to claim ownership of government. So many of them were encouraged. So I say, okay, you are in this business, you are at this level. How much can you afford to pay as your presumptive tax? So we say they themselves, yeah, they will accept, yeah. Yeah, so there was a time that we had meeting with some of them. I was saying that you are too small, or maybe every month you should be contributing 100 naira. Some say, no, if that person, that group of people can contribute 150, we can contribute 200 naira every month. Through engagement, interaction with the micro, small, and medium enterprise, you can arrive at something that they will be contributing in the form of presumptive tax. And that payment will make them to have the pride.
Hello and welcome to World News on Souk News Television, live from our studio in Lagos. I am Omobola Sandra. First, the headlines. Chairman of FIRS, Zach Adedeji, calls for stronger international cooperation and information sharing to mitigate cross-border crime. Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, sound the alarm over the rising threat of illegal and unregulated fishing in Nigerian waters. President Lee is scheduled to preside over a United Nations Security Council meeting and to highlight South Korea's growing diplomatic role on the global stage. The European Union is on course to hit a record military spending of 381 billion euros in Russia-Ukraine war. 2025 Premier League transfer window breaks record amid £1.2 billion net spendings. The chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, Dr. Zach Adedeji, has urged world leaders to intensify action against rising cross-border crimes that threaten revenue mobilization and global economic growth. Adedeji made the call in a keynote address delivered at the 42nd Cambridge International Symposium on Economic Crimes, held at the University of Cambridge, United Kingdom. Represented by Professor Bolaji Owasanwe, Coordinating Director of Proceeds of Crime Management and Illicit Financial Flows at FIRS, and former ICPC Chairman, Adedeji stressed that illicit financial flows and economic crimes drain vital resources from nations, stifling growth and weaken governance structures. He called for stronger international cooperation, information sharing, and capacity building to counter the sophisticated nature of cross-border crimes. The FIRS board noted that Nigeria remains committed to reforms that block revenue leakages, curb money laundering, and strengthen transparency. He added that tackling economic crimes is central to ensuring sustainable development, particularly for emerging economies like Nigeria. The International Telecommunication Union, ITU, has said that achieving universal, meaningful internet connectivity worldwide by 2030 will require an investment of between $2.6 trillion and $2.8 trillion at current prices. The United Nations Agency for Digital Technologies, in partnership with Saudi Arabia's Communications, Space and Technology Commission, CST, made this known in its Connecting Humanity Action Blueprint released yesterday. The report highlights the financial, technical, and policy challenges facing global connectivity efforts and proposes strategies to ensure that everyone, including the estimated 1/3 of humanity still offline, can benefit from the internet. According to the ITU, the largest share of the investment, $1.5 trillion to $1.7 trillion, will go into hard infrastructure such as networks, broadband, and data centers. Additional funds are needed to strengthen human and institutional capacity, particularly in developing nations where digital inclusion remains low. The agency stressed that achieving universal access will require strong collaboration among governments, private sector players, and international partners. The House of Representatives Committee on Land Transport will summon the Nigerian Railway Corporation, NRC, and the China Civil Engineering Construction Company, CCECC, over the recent Abuja-Kaduna train derailment that injured at least 7 passengers. The incident, which occurred on Tuesday, August 26, 2025, involved a Kaduna-bound train with 10 coaches that veered off the tracks, sparking panic among commuters and raising fresh concerns about the safety of Nigeria's rail transport system. Lawmakers said the probe aims to establish the cause of the derailment and assess the role of both NRC and CCECC in ensuring the proper maintenance and safety of rail infrastructure. The derailment has triggered public criticism over Nigeria's poor maintenance culture, with many citizens demanding accountability and urgent reforms in the railway sector. The committee is expected to press both organizations on safety standards, maintenance practices, and preventive measures to avert similar incidents in the future. The Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, has raised an alarm over the rising threat of illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing in Nigeria's waters, pledging stronger collaboration with regional and international partners to curb the menace. He made this known on Monday when he received the Chairman and Secretary General of the Fisheries Committee for the West Central Gulf of Guinea during a working visit to his office in Abuja. In a statement by his media aide, Dr. Bolaji Akinola Oyetola described illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing as a serious violation of national and international laws. He noted that such activities are often hidden from authorities or carried out in ways that undermine conservation and management measures for fish stocks. The minister stressed that tackling illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing is vital to protecting Nigeria's marine resources, safeguarding livelihoods of coastal communities and ensuring long-term food security. He added that the government remains committed to enforcing stronger regulations in line with global best practices. The Nigeria Customs Service NCS Apapa Area Command said it generated 215 billion naira in revenue for August 2025 through the Unified Customs Management System, popularly known as Bodogu, despite reports of network glitches. This was disclosed in a statement on Monday by the command's public relations officer, Tunde Ayagbalu. Customs Area Controller, Babatunde Olumu, attributed the achievement to growing confidence in the system and ongoing improvements that have enhanced trade facilitation. Our collection of 215 billion naira using the Bodogu platform confirms progress in our journey to build a dependable platform for trade by Nigerians and for all those engaged in import, export and excise business, Olumi said. The controller assured stakeholders that efforts were underway to strengthen the system against technical hitches and improve efficiency in cargo clearance. The feat reinforces the Apapa's role as Nigeria's busiest port and underscores customs' resolve to optimize technology for seamless trade and higher revenue generation. We'll go on a short break. When we return, more news on Sook News Television.
Atlantic has become Nigeria's most sought-after city for its high-end infrastructure, prestige, and well-planned city layout, as reflected in an 8-lane boulevard, about 13 internal bridges, underground cables, and green footprints defined by over 30,000 trees. Additionally, having a building in the city has become a trend among the so-called big boys, as was the case with Old Ikoyi, Victoria Garden City, popularly called VGC, Osborne Foreshore, and now Banana Island. In this special report, Bayo Olaoye states that this talk of I belong and the prestige mentality has also spread to the big firms.